We got everybody.
Looks like we have some more success now on this one.
Are our cameras working for YouTube?
So
And my contact says, yes, they can see Margie's face.
Jason Kurth, I think you need to share the presentation screen.
Oh, because she's on the presentation. It's
who's
black and
presenting what? I'm not sure who's presenting what right now.
yeah.
If there's nothing to present, they can just speak.
Okay, we can't see the boardroom at all. We can't see the camera.
Okay. Well,
I don't see a
I
light
don't
on
think
it.
we're gonna go to trouble
Is there usually a light up there?
at this point.
So we're going to audio only.
My hair doesn't look that great for me anyway. Sorry, okay.
Yeah, I don't think anybody's missing my ugly mug, so I think they're probably preaching that it's like fingers on a chalkboard. Listening to me talk probably, so.
No, little chalkboard.
Are we good?
Yeah.
Well, we're
Oh,
not-
good enough.
but I don't
Well, you're good as we're gonna be.
Okay. All right. We're gonna go ahead and resume the Southeast Polk School District Board meeting for April 1st, 2021. It's 5:39. And we left off with the consent agenda. And did we get a vote on that? I can't remember.
Nope. But I will move to approve it.
I think we already. have
did.
one.
We did.
Had
Dr.
a vote. We had a vote on that.
Did we already have? Okay,
thought
so
we
that,
did.
we did finish with that. Okay. I had it crossed up, but I want to make sure. All right, so we'll go ahead and move on. Section 2, old and new business. We're going to set a public hearing for fiscal year 2022 budget.
Move to approve the recommendation.
For April 8th, 2021.
Thank you. I didn't have that in front of me. April 8th, 2020. Okay,
Second,
thank you. Hey, Dr. Belger?
Slings,
yes.
Correll,
Yes.
Powell,
Yes.
Handy,
Yes.
Crab,
Yes.
Fisher.
Yes.
All right. 2B, this is for the Phase 1 certified staffing plan that was presented to us last meeting.
Move to approve,
Second. Second from Powell.
Thank you. Okay, Slings,
yes.
Correll,
Yes.
Powell,
Yes.
Handy,
Yes.
Crab,
Yes.
Fisher.
Yes.
All right. Now moving on to section 3, topics for discussion. And I'm going to call this RTL just for, because we had a little talk about this during, we're going to add an acronym.
Hey, there you go.
It's
We
return
got this
learn.
figured out.
Oh, we joked about that at the
Yep.
meeting the other day. It's like, let's call it RTL.
All right, well, you've got a sheet at your spot there. If you look at our dashboard data, you can see that our numbers remain relatively low and our attendance numbers are very good. This is also reflected on that second page, which is the March data for students and teachers for the entire month. You can kind of see that trend. Obviously, with spring break in there, there was a big drop off. That's what you notice as you look at that. And our indicator data on that last page, it does show the uptick in the community numbers that you've been seeing for the last few days in the news. But we aren't seeing that right now in our students and staff numbers.
We are not.
We are not. No, if you look, you can see the positivity, the 7-day positivity, which is the new CDC standard, is at 5.8%. Our zip code data only gives it to us in 14-day, and that's at 10%. That's a little bit higher. And when you look at our rates, we're nowhere near that. So I think it's something that we keep an eye on, certainly in the community. But hopefully with the warmer weather, more outdoor activities, vaccinations, we see a trend downward back there in the community. But in the meantime, our mitigation strategies remain the same. And probably the biggest reason for that, just to underscore it, is the quarantine rules for students and staff have not changed from public health. And so our mitigation strategies and rules need to stay the same as well, or we would be inundated with quarantines. And we don't want to get in that business. So some positive news related to this. We talked offhand vaccination. We had our second shot vaccination clinic for staff last Friday. 150 to 200 people were able to take part in that, which means next week they'll hit their 2 weeks and be good to go moving forward. I can't tell you an exact number for our staff or a percentage because we have not required them to tell us and don't plan to do that at this point for a variety of reasons. But we know it's a high number. We'll just leave it at that. And part of that is because there were some more possible spots in that vaccination clinic. And that kind of tells you they didn't fill up and have people waiting in line there. So they were able, we've had other opportunities around where people have been able to get out and get vaccinated. I can't say everybody for sure, but like I said, that's where we're at there. There is some talk, just to address this one too, this week of vaccinations for younger people. From basically right now, it's the 12 plus kind of age range. And they're talking as early as this summer, planning for that as a possibility. Again, that would be a voluntary scenario, but that's kind of where things are right now. They're still doing some tests, but the early results coming back from that are actually incredible, 100%. So we'll see where that goes. Questions?
As I said to you, I think, yes, my days have run together, but I just want to encourage the community to continue following the rules and avoid other people as much as possible so that we can get to the finish line this year and have all the things everyone expects to happen. And please keep wearing your masks and doing your part. And that's all I'll say on any of that. I don't want anything to be canceled that is planned for now. Don't let down yet.
Good.
All right.
Okay. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, 3B, Phase 2, classified staffing fiscal year 22. This Dr.
This would
Belcher?
be, yep, Dr. Belger.
It's me again.
Welcome
So
back.
tonight I'm presenting a proposal to hire a SAM for the transportation department. With the increased number of student riders each year, I believe a SAM that's focused on supporting the positive relationship between bus drivers and student riders is important to the overall safety and operation of the department. My goals for this position would be that they would implement a student behavior procedure that aligns with the district's PBIS system, which we've already started that process this year. Provide continuous training each year for bus drivers, review bus video and respond to video requests, respond to concerns from parents and reduce the time that the director, bus drivers, and building principals spend reviewing bus videos and resolving complaints and concerns. Assist the director each year with bus evacuation drills and other items important for student safety. And I believe this position would allow the director of transportation to focus on recruitment, hiring, training of the bus drivers, the budget, repairing and maintaining the fleet, and work more closely with the router and dispatch on improving the day-to-day operations. Any questions?
And just to clarify, Sam is, because it's an
Student administration manager.
okay, just for the public. So RTL.
I think
Full of
it's
jokes today. So,
I think it's a good position. I know I've heard, comments regarding buses and student safety and all that. So having another set of eyes checking the videos and supporting the drivers and the students, I think would be a good idea.
Thank you.
Well, I think we have several buses. How many are there, Margie? Do you know off the top of your head?
Oh,
Ish,
around 60.
right? I mean, I know it's a big fleet. There's a lot of kids on it. And then we've implemented all this, all these apps and tracking and, arrival. And so, although I hate always to add administrative staff, it makes sense to me to add this one. And I suppose, is the idea that this will be I'm sure it is, it's going to be a permanent ad. You're not anticipating more moves down the road, or are you, or you don't know, or?
No, I see it as a permanent ad. And then as we go along and, as our buildings change and we build new buildings in the district, if this position can help with that on that level, then I, see how it goes that way.
Right, okay.
Yeah, and Dr. Belger, just to clarify, I'm in support of this. I think it's, they've needed extra help over there, and we really haven't added much in this, in the bus side for years since we've added Clay and of course, what's the other thing I'm thinking of?
Spring Creek.
Yeah, Spring Creek. And so I think it's definitely a needed position. And I like it that it's somebody this is really a certified position though, isn't this, Dr. Belger? Just because it's working, they'll be working with the kids more. Is that kind of the thought behind it, I guess, with a SAM?
Yes, I mentioned that to Dr. Holubnik, and we just felt, putting it on the list that I present made sense because obviously the director is more the classified staff realm or supervises the classified staff, but recognizing, yes, it's a certified position.
Yeah, and then no, it doesn't make a difference where you guys put it. I think it's a great spot. I just wanted to make sure the other board members knew that it was actually like what we have at the junior high, right?
Correct.
And is there one at sixth grade, or is that a different
Yeah.
term?
No, yes, there is.
Yeah, okay, that's what I was thinking. So
I would think we'd have to have one of the largest, I know we've got a lot of square mile of area, thus the need for the buses, but I would think we would have to have more buses than other area schools. But I'm just curious, Dr. Belger, are there other schools, peer groups that utilize a SAM in the transportation department?
I'm not aware of one. I know, size wise, I believe we compare with a college community. Dr. Holubnik can tell me if I'm wrong, but square miles and such. And I've reached out to their school district and just, talked about positions and such, and felt like we needed to add a position. And I felt like this position would be the ideal one because of the needs that I saw with the students and, the PBIS piece and just, I've also spoken with, I believe it's West Des Moines schools about how they handle behavior, different issues that come up and how the buildings and the building principals are involved in that, and the SAMs they're involved, the SAM that we have at Spring Creek, they're involved in evaluating the videos and the behaviors. And sometimes I see where the building and the assistant principals or the SAM or the principal is speaking with the student or the parent, and then our director of transportation might leave his building and go and visit. And I just feel like this streamlines and helps us become more efficient with the number of student riders that we have.
Sounds excellent.
and it's a 9-month contract with a stipend. Is that how that position works? Or is it a 12-year or 12-month,
9 months.
9-month with stipend? So teacher contract with a little extra responsibilities.
So with this person located in the bus and transportation area, are they going to be required to carry a CDL or?
No,
Okay,
No.
the idea is not to let them ever drive the bus.
exactly.
Any other questions for administration on this position? Is that the only one you were going to present, Dr. Belger, today?
Yeah, that's the only one on the list. Now, what I also want to share, if I can, is we didn't put on the list because we already have the FTE, but we're going to advertise for the energy manager administrative assistant position to replace the position vacated by Jeannie when we hired her as a public relations director. So I know we presented a proposal for the energy manager previously. We didn't get the level of interest in that proposal that was presented. So we're going back to our original position. So previously it was an energy manager / facility scheduler, and the activities department is now helping us with some of that facility scheduling piece. So what I would like to do instead is ask the energy manager position to assist technology, building and grounds, and the district with the issuance and monitoring and control of staff ID badges and keys, which Jeannie did some of this as well in her previous position. I see a need to promote a continuous process of safety and security with the issuance of the badges and keys, and with the district's addition of the Raptor system, I felt that this position could assist in that as well. Obviously, with the key duty of, the management of the district's energy usage. The budgeted position was about 30 hours a week. So I'm not asking for additional hours or anything like that. So again, it's not an addition, but I think it's just an informational item so that you guys know where we're at with that.
Sounds good.
Yep, thank you. Any other questions for Dr. Belger before she goes back to her other job? All right, I think you're off the hook, Dr. Belger.
Thank you.
Thanks. All right, 3C, fiscal year 21 ISASP.
More acronyms.
I don't even know what that is.
It's ASP.
That Dr.
We
Lee.
saw Joellen
She
for a
was on
minute.
there.
Is it me? Okay, wasn't sure if that was me or not. I'm going to try to share my screen here to see if that will work. Are you able to see my screen?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, good, good. So I wanted to give good evening. I wanted to give an update on state assessments and where we are with that. I presented on this a while back just to give some overall information. And at the time, we didn't know if they were going to be required or what that was going to look like. So I'm going to provide a little bit of an update tonight that might have some answers to questions that you may get as board members in regards to the testing. So when we look at the state assessment, or ISASP, it's the former Iowa assessments. It's now Iowa's State Assessment of Student Progress, another acronym. And the state requirement is that all students in grades 3 through 11 are required to participate in this testing. And when we gave state testing, there were some opt-out possibilities, but this is tied to federal funding and ESSA. And so it is required for all students. And the format for this assessment is in person. Because of some of the security and testing guidelines, we're not able to give the same form in an online format. So let me say that it's very confusing. The kids take it online, but they need to do it at the building and not in a remote format. Might be a little easier. For this state assessment, we give reading, math, language, and writing for grades 3 through 11. For science, we assess at grades 5, 8, and 10. It is administered online, but it needs to go through a secure browser from our district. It is administered by trained certified teachers, and it does feature some accommodations within the online format. So students can highlight, they can mask answers, they can cross out answers. So it does provide some embedded accommodations. Some non-embedded accommodations, and we shared this last year, it is no longer a timed assessment. So students have as much time as they need to complete the subtests. Our current assessment schedule, we will be assessing at the high school during the week of April 19th. We will be assessing at the middle grades the week of April 26th. And we will finish up with elementary during the week of May 3rd. So having said that, the criteria from before, when we assess our remote learners, we do need to bring them into the building to assess. So for most learners, we are in the process of bringing them in during the same testing week. Now, for some grade, I should say all of them are testing in a separate location from their peers, but they are coming into the building to test. And you can see the numbers there. We have 140 students, and these are just the specific grade levels. So that's grades 3 through 5, 187, 6 through 8, and 223, 9, 10, and 11. So those are the students that we need to bring in. We have sent letters out to remote families to have them let us know when they're able to come in. We are considering transportation. We did offer transportation for elementary. We've had just a handful of families request that, so we will be providing that. And if there's some unique situations at the secondary, we will help support that. But we understand that there are health and safety considerations. We understand that many people chose the remote format because of health concerns or of their student or maybe of someone in their family. So our goal is to test as many remote students at their home building in a separate cohort during the same week as their peers. However, our families can also mark no and request an alternate option. And with those families, we are working to assess either in a small group or, if needed, one-to-one with the vaccinated proctor. And we will either do this at the TLRC, the curriculum office, where no students are there, or perhaps even in the old district boardroom if we have a small group of students that we can space out there. So that testing will take place after May 10th. We have until May 28th to assess our remote learners. So it gives us some flexibility on the group size and the individual needs that they might have. So we are currently collecting that information from parents. Most are able to come in and test because they've the family members maybe have gotten vaccinated that they're concerned about, or they've reached a certain threshold. But for those who are not, we are providing some flexibility with that as we move forward. At the same time, another state assessment that we will be administering is the Conditions for Learning Survey. Parents may opt out of this one, and we've sent letters out in regards to that. That is another online assessment, and our remote learners are able to take that off-site. So at the same time that we're going to be ramping up ISASP and state assessment, you may also hear of some of the conditions for learning and that survey going out as well. As we give that assessment, I wanted to let you know that there will be growth scores this year. And I think we shared this last time. It really will be a range of growth, looking at a range of students and whether you're above or below that. We will have more precise growth when we give the test actually 2 years in a row, 2 consecutive years in a row, I should say. The one thing that's different this year is that they are providing on-demand reports. So we should be able to get some of the data back a little bit more quickly. They still need time to evaluate the writing portions, not only the writing subtest, but there's some constructed response on the math and science assessments as well. So we won't get the full level reports until everyone is done taking the test. But for those who take it beginning April 19th, we may have some of their data back sometime early in May for them to look at, but probably won't have the full achievement level summaries until all the classes together are done towards the end of May. So I know that as those come up, some families might have some questions for you. So we wanted to provide you an update since it is a unique year and things will look a little bit different than they have in the past. Any questions or feedback in regards to that plan?
Dr. Latham, can you go back to your slide? That's the assessing remote learners. It has the number of students based by elementary, middle. Yeah, that's,
And those aren't total numbers because elementary would be pre-K 5. 140 is just third, fourth, and fifth.
oh, okay.
And then the high school is 223, doesn't include seniors. Our current remote learners is at about 775.
Okay.
And we were up around 1,200, 1,300 earlier. So the middle level just had an opportunity at the end of the third 9 weeks for some students to return, and some did take advantage of that.
Do you know, and these letters have gone out to the parents of the remote learners?
Yes.
And what kind of feedback are we getting?
For the most part, you know, they're signing up and I would say the majority of them are able to send their child in during the week of testing. A lot of them have questions. Will they be, you know, how large will the group would be? And, you know, are we sanitizing? All those types of things. And then again, some have had some concerns about health, and those are the ones that will have some flexible testing. But for right now, I think I've gotten for elementary, we've gotten about 80 responses, and I think I have 4 that are going to need some specific alternatives. Now we still have some more to report, but
Right.
so that's what the ratio looks like at this
Okay.
time.
All right. Thank you.
Mhm.
Any other questions for Dr. Latham?
I don't have a question, but I'd just like to say that I'm glad that we're going kind of the extra mile to make everybody comfortable in taking those exams. A lot of these families that have been at home have been doing so because of health concerns for themselves or family members. So I'm just glad that we're doing everything we can to accommodate.
Exactly. Having that data, you know, will give us some good information for students, but still the primary priority is their health and safety. So thank you.
All right. If there's no other questions, thank you, Dr. Latham.
Okay, thank you.
All right. 3D, 2021-22 student-related fees.
Good evening, board. You do have within the packet the proposed changes for the 21-22 school year. I was hoping to get both the meals information from metro area schools and also student activity ticket information from local area schools, but I haven't received those yet from those directors. So I'll have that for you at your April 15th meeting. The only thing proposed to change at this point in time would be the student activity pass from $55 to $60.
All right. Any questions for Mr. McComb?
I guess I have a quick question. That $5 move doesn't really trouble me too much on an activity fee. It's sort of it's an extra, but I assume it's been some time. I can't recall. We probably haven't moved it in some time. Do you know?
I think we moved it just last year, a year
did?
prior to
Okay.
that. Yes. Again, I think it was getting to a comparable level with other schools, but you know, we've had some shifts and some things here from a conference standpoint. So
Right.
that play into what we do when we actually see those comparable fees come back.
Okay. Gotcha. Thank you.
Mr. Bricom, this activity fee that you're referring to, the recent news of this week with the Des Moines schools dropping out of our conference, we're going to see a lot less transportation costs, but this activity pass, is this the same type of pass that they use to get into CIML games? Or is this a fee we charge kids to participate in activities?
No, this is the actual student activity pass to get into athletic events and activities.
So the new conference we're forming, this is their rate?
The rate is independent school to school, so we can set our own rate.
Okay. Do we honor the team we're playing? Do we honor their passes?
I don't believe we do.
So,
Okay.
That'd be kind of cool though, but I don't think we do.
Well, it used to be that way. Yeah. Okay, thanks.
You're welcome.
Anything else? All right, hearing none. Thank you, Mr. McCall.
You're welcome. The next item is mine as well.
Sure.
I wanted to provide a business services update, and more specifically, I wanted to zero in on risk management items. I left a sheet on your desktops there, and we kind of want to walk through those things. And 3 different categories, and we're discussing here. I want to talk about property and casualty and workers' comp insurance, which is part of our IPSIP plan, or the Iowa Public Schools Insurance Program. You know, we've been hearing about hardening markets within the industry because Iowa now is part of the funnel where things occur, natural disasters occur, think derecho and such. So they've been talking about some steep increases. We've been kind of staggering those increases since last year. But I think the rest of the industry is catching up to that at this point in time. We'll see increases again for next year, but they won't be as high as we had this previous year, which is at 34%. The other thing that plays in the P&C market is sexual abuse claims. You may have seen one of the major universities over in California had a huge settlement regarding sexual abuse. The problem with sexual abuse claims from a projection standpoint is these claims can come up from 20 years ago, and the district and the insurance program can still be liable for that. And because of that, we believe the sexual abuse area of this insurance will rise as well. And then the third piece of this is cybersecurity, cyber breaches, things of that nature. We are looking at and seeing more and more of those incidents occur, and more of those incidents costing more money. So I wanted to make aware of that. So we'll see an increase in our insurance rates, and I'll bring those to you here for next year. But I just wanted to mention that. The second piece that I wanted to talk about is the equipment breakdown insurance. This is that break fix insurance that we got into just 2 years ago, this being our 3rd year. Our first year, we started with our technologies, our servers, our Chromebooks, things of that nature. Our second year, we took the building, shook it upside down, and everything else that fell out of there, we were able to throw into our insurance policy at the same cost. This being the 3rd year, this is our first year trying with our HVAC repairs. Wanted to share with you what our utilization has been for the past few years. 30% or 30.4% for that first year, 61% for the second year. And so far this year, we've got 49.3% utilization of premiums. I split out HVAC separately for HVAC repairs, and the cost we paid, the incremental cost we paid for that, we're utilizing about 60.2% of those insurance premiums. With this program, we have a 3-year agreement, so this goes through 2023. Again, this is paid from the management fund. It's the shift of expenses that we would normally pay out of a different fund, that being the general fund typically, and paying insurance premiums out of the management fund. We're still doing the work in the general fund for people, for things of that nature, but the money that we get back for reimbursements goes back into the general fund. Any questions regarding those 2 items before I go to the final item, which is the self-insurance health fund?
Yeah, let me ask you questions on the P&C part. That's our group, right? Our
Correct.
consortium of schools.
Correct.
Are you satisfied with how it's going, and our schools, are we maintaining the group? Is the group growing? Is it diminishing? I don't have any idea on any of that.
Yep. So as far as how we get public schools into this particular program, the competition is pretty fierce. We can show what our quotes are for those companies, and the competition can come in and do that one-hit wonder.
Right.
So we went from 25 public schools just 3 years ago. Now we're down to 20 public school districts.
Okay.
We have a very good 20 public school districts.
All right.
School districts that have good histories, claim ratios, mod factors, that sort of thing. We are bringing in a few other ones beginning July 1. And again, these are good sized districts that have a good modification factors regarding workers' comp and good histories of claims.
Okay, so you're choosy about who gets.
We are being choosy.
Yeah.
We are.
Okay. All right, I'll just indicate for board members, this was a big item of contention several years ago. And it was really a board-driven thing at that time. I recognize new boards come and old boards go, and new boards can do something different, but it's a model that's used, is my understanding at the time. I mean, Tom Haddon was on the board and with city management background. So this is what cities, this is very common in their realm. It's not so common in the education realm. And they were substantial dollars that we were able to save by doing this. And I do think it's something that, you know, that's been good for us, but it's like anything else, you need to constantly monitor it.
Correct.
And I think maybe I won't be as artful of Kevin, but there's a large gorilla in this market in the state. And what happens is these schools that consider going in the pool, all of a sudden they say, well, this is what this group will do for me, right? And then they comes in and says, oh, we can do that in a little bit. And, you know, but it's like, it's a one-hit wonder. It's that first year and then boop, goes back up. But anyway, I think it's a good program. I think it's probably saved us a lot. I forget now. I know it saved us money on the front end, but
It did save us money on the front end, and this being a self-insurance pool and that being controlled by school district members, we pick and choose what we want to do, given the advice by our administrators. On the back end of these things, if there are saves within that self-insurance pool, we get those monies back as surplus as well. So it's us, school district people, making school district decisions for the pool of schools. So it's driven by us and not a third party.
great.
Okay, hearing no other questions regarding those first two, I want to go to the last item quick. It's the self-insurance health fund. I brought this to your attention a couple meetings ago that we were going out to market for services, for third-party administrative services for medical claims processing. We went to the market back in January. We had 3 companies come in and provide us a bid, plus our incumbent. UMR, United Medical Resources, which is a third-party administrator for self-insurance plan owned by United Healthcare, came back with a very good plan proposal, cost savings. The insurance committee, we reviewed these things with our consultants. There was third-party analysis done by a group. We continued, why we were looking is that we just wanted to go to market to see what was out there. Again, this is one of those areas where there is a big gorilla in this particular room, in this particular part of the state, and we wanted to see what was out there. UMR came back. They are a player within central Iowa. We have local school districts here in the metro area that use United Healthcare. Our first year of reduction in administrative fees were 46%, reinsurance fees being 27%. So over $1 million in savings over the first 3 years relative to our current incumbent. More importantly, no or very minimal disruptions in services. We're not going to change our plan design. We had some major plan design changes last year because of the increase that we would see. There's no change in pharmacy benefit management. Our prescription plan will stay the same. And regarding disruptions, we had a set of, within Altoona, if you haven't noticed, we have a lot of chiropractic services. Well, those chiropractic services are they're standalone, privately held service providers. We will actively recruit with UMR to bring those folks into the network plan so that our employees and our dependents can have those services by those particular providers. Not saying that everybody will join, but we will certainly push forward and try to recruit those people, those providers into our plan. And then the switch to UMR would begin effective July 1 for our employees and dependents.
So then in that case, what about those that have certain doctors that may not be in United Healthcare? How would they?
Yep, we'll identify those folks. We'll give our employees a link to current service providers. We will then make a decision at that time either to include those providers or not include those, and then make that an employee choice. With every change in plan like this, that sort of thing happens. But if we choose to accept those people within our plan, remember, this is a Southeast Polk self-insurance plan, so that the plan then would be paying any kind of difference that the network savings would typically provide.
These cost savings, Kevin, where are they manifesting? Are they for us? Or are they lowering the premiums for the employees?
Yeah, great question. There is a nexus certainly to premiums. So if
Say
we,
that again.
there is certainly is a nexus between these savings
Oh,
and the
Nexus.
premiums. Yes.
Okay.
So our self-insurance plan savings, whatever we have in the fund balance, then reflects on what premium increases might be for the following year, in addition to claims. So we can't control what claims come through. If we stayed with our current provider, with the same claims projections and their administrative costs and reinsurance costs, the insurance increase for next year for our employees would be close to 10%. Switching to UMR, same claims projections using their tools, different administrative costs, different reinsurance costs. The benefit premium increase is going to be 3% rather than the 9.7 or close to 10%. So the way our plans work and the way our total compensation package works, if we're not spending the money in the benefits side of things for our employees, they get more of that within the wages section of them. So this definitely affects not only their benefit, monthly benefit amount, premium amount, but also affects the money that goes in their pocket.
That's good news.
Have you had discussions, I assume, at this point with the employee groups?
Yes,
this?
there's representation of the employee groups within our insurance committee meetings. And this is not it's one person decision. This definitely was a decision made by the insurance committee, given the advice by consultants and the work that was done by a third party as far as analyzing all results.
I know it's kind of, well, it's literally, I guess, like going to the doctor, but not that anybody's going to jump up and down, but is there some sort of consensus? This is, this makes sense.
Yes, I would say with the insurance committee, yes, it does.
Right. That's what I'm at. Yeah.
Yes.
Great. Okay.
I'll chime in one thing. At our last area superintendent's meeting, we kind of did the around the room virtually. And I heard anything from a low of 5% to a high in the 30s for increases. I don't know if this is COVID related.
you wonder.
If this is, it's hard to say, but there's some eye-popping numbers out there.
Yeah, the only thing I'm gonna say is, obviously, anytime we can save for the district and our employees, that's a good thing. Obviously, we have to be careful because obviously they want to get our business. So what's that fourth year gonna look like?
Yeah, we don't want the one hit or the 3 hit wonder.
So,
Very astute. That's something the insurance committee talked about as well.
yeah, because I mean, it may go up 30% with who we have now, but 3 years, what are they gonna ding us with? So.
And just one illustration with UMR and their flexibility and work with Southeast Polk is that their administrative fee that I mentioned, that was a savings of 46% this year with our incumbent. They're keeping that same fee for the 3 years under the agreement. They're not increasing that. We would generally see an increase in that percentage in the neighborhood of 3 to 5% with our incumbent.
Yeah, and we're not locked into them for the 3 years. It's just that they'll guarantee.
This would be a 3-year agreement.
Okay.
So okay.
Yeah.
So that fourth year,
They can shop.
That's the good thing is we can go back to and switch again if we need to. And
The pros I see in sticking with the 3 years that we're not going to switch our employees 1 year to the next and changing cards and things of that nature. So I think that 3 year provides the consistency we need for that period of time for sure.
yeah,
Was the last agreement, was it year by year?
Well, it was. Yep.
That's what I thought.
It certainly was.
well, I've had United Healthcare before, and they were fine. I mean, I didn't have any issues personally. So, are we Blue Cross right now?
We are.
Okay.
Yes.
Excellent.
Okay. With no other questions, that I have one more thing to talk about real quick. I'm kind of excited about this. We did the geodebt to the voters back in September 2020. We've done a lot of processing now with a lot of our projects, and we haven't seen much as far as movement, actual bricks and mortar type movement. At your April 15th meeting, we're going to have a public hearing for plans and specs of the multi-purpose stadium. So it's going to be exciting, moving. It's that time where we start, showing all the work that's been done already by our architects, design, and all the committees that have taken part with this. So I'm very excited about that.
I am as well.
Yeah, that'll be neat.
Yes.
And that's all I had for the update. Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, that was E. So 3F, legislative update.
You bet. I won't spend a lot of time on this. I'll elaborate in our update that I send out tomorrow, but I do give you a front and back sheet at your desk. It's the second funnel week this week. And so, that first funnel, we went from about 2,000 bills to 200. Now it goes from 200 to less than that. We'll see when it's all said and done tomorrow. But on the front page, those are education-related bills that are still alive. Just a couple of highlights I do want to point out. The very first one on that list, preschool for young 5-year-olds. What that will allow is kids that have a birthday between March 15th and September 15th, turning 5, to still be eligible for preschool and be funded. Right now we do allow some 5-year-olds in there if we have room, but we don't get funded for them. This would fund them. So that's a positive step, I think, in the right direction there. Couple other, the charter school concept did make it through committee, so it's still alive. It's kind of lukewarm in the Senate, so we'll see where that goes. Another one, the parent request to retain, to keep their child in the grade they're in now is still alive. And then way at the bottom, the diversity plans and open enrollment that goes along with that, both of those things are still alive at this point. Remember, the diversity plan was like Des Moines has the plan of who they allow to open enroll in and out of their district.
Gotcha.
So-
Yeah.
And then on the back are a list of those things that we're probably done for this year, although that end omnibus bill, sometimes there's procedural ways these things show up again. But the big one is the very first one on there, the voucher proposal, I think is done for this year. So again, thanks for your help in staying on top of this and reaching out and advocating to people as we've needed. It's been a busy legislative session, that's for sure, as far as education is concerned. And to think that right before it started, this session, I told you things were pretty quiet on the education front for this session.
Yeah, then
It's going to turn out to be one of the biggest ones of all time. So
When will they adjourn?
their last paid day is, I think, in 2 weeks. Might be 3 weeks. Yeah.
That'll be good when they adjourn.
That usually speeds up the process.
I'm being honest,
How do you feel?
I know it.
like they need to adjourn.
On the positive side, the two main reps for us from the House both voted against the charter bill. So both
Yes.
Brian and Rick voted against it. So
Already always loves legislative updates.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
no,
it.
You use that word if I could say it.
Yeah, no, I have not enjoyed it for the last 11 years.
If she wasn't wearing a mask, you could see the big smile at you.
I'll smile when they adjourn.
All right, anything else on legislative update or we good? Done picking on Lori? All right,
Actually,
G.
Just so you know, this whole year, I've not lectured at every meeting during the session, so I'm actually.
Duly
behaving.
noted. Yeah.
This
that's
is pretty
true.
well behaved for
Yeah.
me. That's all.
All right, well, thank you for behaving. All
Yeah.
right. 3G, snow days.
You bet. I also left a sheet at your spot, which is just kind of a brain dump from me. So sorry if it's too much information, but we've had 2 winter weather cancellation days this school year, and our calendar states that those days will be added on to the end of the scheduled school year and made up. I think we're out of the winter season at this point, and we can put those days on that updated calendar. Like we've talked about, the state law minimum for instructional hours, which is what we go by, not by days, by hours, is 1080, and we have 1109.5 scheduled on our calendar. So there is wiggle room there. In addition to the 2 days that we missed, we've also had 1 2-hour early dismissal and 2 2-hour delayed starts for a total of 6 hours. Our past practice has been to absorb the delays and the early outs, but to make up the full days. In fact, there's no record of the district ever not making up the missed
Oh,
full
wow.
days. So my recommendation, just philosophically anyway, would be that we continue with that practice and we make up those days of instruction. That it does still leave us with 1103.5 hours, which is certainly within the compliance for the law. I just kind of put some things for factors that I use to consider. And then if the board would choose to not make up the days, we would just have to set a public hearing, hold a public hearing, and then vote to make the change. At the bottom of that sheet, I also just threw in the last 5 years to just kind of give you an idea of
The hours.
makeup days, hours that were scheduled, and when that last day was. Obviously, last year is not applicable because our last day was in March. So,
Yeah.
I appreciate having the history here, Dr. Lepnik. I can't argue the history and what our school district's done. I do have some concerns, like I shared with you on the phone. Number one, I know we're not voting on this. It's just I'm giving you my opinion. I don't like the term snow day. I don't know how come it's labeled that. And I don't know why, if we have built-in hours, why we don't use them. You know, why do we build them in if we're not going to use them? The reason I say that, I know that I'm the educator with the history of education, but I've lived through trying to have school after Memorial Day. And, you know, the seniors are already out. The quality of education just isn't there, unfortunately. The kids at the secondary level, many, I don't have a percentage, but many are trying to ask their teachers if they can take their finals early because they have planned vacations or jobs are going to start or whatever. Elementary parents, some parents in the elementary level also want to get their kids out of school when they, you know, it's when they see that end date of whenever we set it. A lot of people make plans, weddings, what have you. And I don't know how the calendar committee, I understand this, the minimum, and I know we shouldn't be looking at the minimum, we should do more, but the 1080, like you said, how we came up with 1109.5, the 29.5 extra. I don't know how they arrived at that. I mean, maybe if you're looking at it, well, we should be in school more, you know, should we be looking at even more hours? I don't know. It's tough for me as a former educator to say that we have them built in, but yet we're not gonna, we make them up. But the history is in what you've said. We've never done it before, so I know I'm in the minority here. I guess my only point is if we have them built in, why don't we use them? And back when we talked about it several months ago, I remember somebody said, snow days, should we make them up? I wish we could have done it virtually so we don't have these makeup days. First semester, we spent most of the time in hybrid where the kids knew how to do virtual. I understand some teachers don't have the equipment at home and they would need to somehow make it to school to teach virtually. And that would be a case-by-case situation if they could make it or not. But I just, as a former educator, don't like the fact that we're adding on. We publish a calendar. We have built-in time. Even if we have the hearing and don't make up the days, we're still covered with more than 1080. And I guess my biggest thing is the quality of education after Memorial Day just isn't. I don't want to say anything I regret, so I'll better stop. But it's just not the quality of education that we usually get in April and May. It gets to the point where mentally they just, you know, check out, both students and unfortunately some teachers. So, but I like your history you gave us. Thank you for doing that. And I can't argue with it.
My big concern with this is if we were to forgive those days, is those 2 days that those employees that don't get paid when they're not actually in session. I think that was one of the concerns that we talked about.
The
classified employees don't get paid. And I don't know about you, but if I got a check where I didn't get 2 days of pay, that's gonna hurt a
Right.
lot.
Yeah.
That's my bigger concern there. I understand what you're saying about the quality of education. I think any parent and student or educator knows that first week of school and that last week of school are dicey. By nobody's fault. They're just dicey.
Yeah.
And this might be the year that kids want to be in school. So what's 2 more days? I mean, they'd rather be there than, I mean, they know what part of the year has been like, so
Sure.
give them the 2 days and let them be in school.
And I'm not arguing that we shouldn't.
I'm just stating, I was just waiting for you to finish. I thought you were done.
Oh, no, I'm always.
My
fine.
comment isn't toward anybody else's comment, but it's like they want to be in school, let them be in school. And then they'll be out for the summer and hopefully anxiously awaiting the fall classes beginning.
So we're actually down, how many days? It's 2 days, so technically it's 14 hours.
Roughly, yeah.
I'm not putting my snow shovel away for another week.
Yeah, since we
Stop
knock
it.
on wood over
Yeah,
time,
You said you were gonna behave. for
It's
once.
staying on my porch for another week. Sorry.
I guess I have a question on, so obviously, I think the stuff you gave here, like Mr. Powell said, is great. Is there a way to, since we have some time, we have 14 hours to make up, is there a way to extend the days on the existing days that we have? Maybe add a little bit of time instead of, because I agree with Rick on the quality. If people don't want to come back, maybe can you extend the day of our existing time? If maybe you don't make it all up, but maybe you, so I guess I'll just throw that out there. That was brought up to me as just something as an alternative. Because you can't argue with education being important, so the more time.
Well, I think your consideration is important too.
Yeah, my
I
biggest
hadn't thought
one's-
of that.
Yeah.
I
Our
get
staff's
that.
been through hell this year. I don't want to short them.
Well, you still get, if you extend the time, you still get paid.
Do they though? Because what's the staff work schedule versus the scheduled day?
Yeah, I mean, that, we'd have to dig into that.
Yeah, I wonder.
You're talking about extending.
So if the
school day?
staff works
Yeah.
from 7 to 4 or whatever,
So the
7:30 to
teachers are
4.
already contracted. It's the classified that
Yeah,
they just work for hour, aren't they hours or are they days?
but what
I
I'm
think
saying
they're
is there hours during the day longer than the school day already is? So are you just filling in more of that? So they're not getting any more. They've just got more exposure to students. So there's
No, I
more.
don't. I think they're, and Dr. Belger, please jump in here if you, they go from the time school starts until it gets out. I don't think, maybe they have to come a little bit of time ahead, but
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the Director Crowell's question.
question,
very well.
classified staff, do they work, they're hour to hour, correct?
Yes,
And then, do they come in, like teachers contracted from 8 to 4, I believe, or the classified staff, do they have to be in at 8 or do they come in when the school, when the bell rings kind of? I'm sure they get a little extra time, but I mean.
yeah, it depends, like, depending on the job class. They come in at the time that this, like a teacher aide would report at the time that the student would arrive. Custodian would obviously come in earlier, some stay and work later.
I don't think it's a hard, fast rule.
Yeah.
But,
So they would.
even
lose-
some
they
of the
wouldn't necessarily
associates
lose their-
will come earlier and stay later, depending. We have to investigate that.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's the only thing I have, so I appreciate it.
Just to piggyback at Dr. Belger, that might work for some classifications, but for other classifications that already end during the school day, for instance, your cooks, the extension of the school day won't
Oh, right.
Oh, good point. Thank you.
give those hours to them
Or bus drivers.
for bus drivers.
Well, I'm gonna tell that person that was a bad idea. Just kidding.
Thank you for that, Brett.
I like that you're thinking outside of the.
It wasn't me. It was-
Box.
I am not that smart to come up with something like that. but- Any other discussion on snow days? If not, this will be coming next meeting then, Dr. Lipnick? Or are you gonna,
Only if you guys want to change something and direct. Like I said, my
Oh.
recommendation is that we do what our calendar says and there'd be no action needed. But if the board feels differently, then we can put it on as an action item.
I'm okay leaving it as is.
I'm fine with it, I guess.
Yeah, if you, in the meantime, I guess if before the next meeting, if you have any conversation, anything to add to Dr. Lutnick, make sure you get out to him and we can discuss if we need to have something too, but it sounds like right now, maybe not, so. All right, thanks for the discussion on that. 3H Southeast Polk auction.
I'll take this one too. Gary is still in Southwest Texas or possibly New Mexico.
Mexico.
Yeah, been a rough week and we obviously feel for them and his family. Just a quick, this is kind of just an FYI for the board. We normally do large items online on our system called Purple Wave. And don't have face-to-face auctions. It's kind of I don't know, a marketplace online for large things like snow plows or you name it. We have accumulated over the last couple of years a lot of smaller things that would not sell in that format. And so Gary would like to have a in-person auction later on in the summer. And just wanted to kind of share that with everybody. And then I think historically, the board has approved this officially just to kind of cover all bases. So he'll bring this back on the 15th as an action item. But it's just a kind of a conglomeration of misfit items that wouldn't sell on the online version, but likely would with the face-to-face crowd. So
We're not gonna get rid of the online piece.
no, that
This will
stays.
just be an added for the things. that
Exactly.
we-
I envision this maybe happening every few years as stuff accumulates that won't move. Yep.
I think this is smart. I've been to the auctions and it seems like the smaller stuff, boy, we use our stuff up. I'll first say, it's not like, I mean, it's used. And one year we had different schools bring their stuff in, boy, you could tell our stuff. It was well used. But the beauty about this, I told Gary, he's genius, is people pay us to haul the stuff away. You know, if you had to just take this stuff to the dump, which frankly, looking at some of it, that's where it belongs. I'm doing a good job marketing this, aren't I?
Yeah, way to go, Gary.
But you know, it's somebody's one man's junk's another man's treasure. And so the best thing is people haul the stuff away for us. So it's a win-win. I'll put it that way.
I got some great 3-ring binders I picked up at one of the auctions one year. For just in case. Yeah.
And all that money that is, I guess, that we get for hauling the junk away.
Yeah.
That goes back into general fund, correct?
Yeah.
Or
Yes.
It doesn't go specifically to equipment or
Right.
stuff. Okay.
Yep.
All right, any other questions on auction? If not,
Oh, can I say one thing?
oh my gosh.
I know.
Lori.
Tomorrow, let's see. Saturday's the last day to get your Southeast Polk Best Buddies barbecue tickets.
Okay, that's a
Yeah.
good,
On
that's a
Rev
good
Track.
reason to stay.
So it's
Okay.
a week from Saturday's the barbecue.
Yes.
And just to remind anybody that's listening also to get your tickets purchased. Gonna be drive-through at Great Caters of Iowa on the 10th of April.
We got ours.
Yummy.
Mhm.
Yep.
That's it now.
Anybody else?
Tomorrow's the breakfast, right?
Yes, tomorrow morning, 7 a.m.
Oh, thanks for the reminder.
Yeah.
Rick still got 3 minutes if.
Yeah.
No,